Welcome, welcome, welcome. How is everyone doing? This is the RambleCast. It is June 10th, 2026. I'm your host, Cody Toombs, and we've got Corbin Davenport with us.
Hello.
And oh boy, was that a WWDC.
I liked the first 20 minutes of it.
Oh,
They had me in
like.
the first half.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
That orange. It's still the red hair color, but most of the red has faded now, so it is like a orangey red mix. The camera always makes it look a different color because the light is like shining down at like my forehead specifically. So I was gonna redo it or do new color yesterday, I think, and then I ran out of time, and I'm still out of time. So
that is how it pretty much always goes. Well, so you liked it, huh? I was a little I don't know. I struggled with this dub a lot. A whole lot.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know. I don't know what your complaints specifically are, besides what I think I saw like one or two comments, but I know with these kinds of events, there's like an expectation for a lot of like crazy cool new stuff, and I guess I went into this not wanting that at all because I had enough of that last year. I waited months to update all of my devices to last year's updates, like macOS 26, iOS 26. I did not update my phone until Apple stopped sending out security patches for iOS 18, whatever the one was before.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to deal with it, and then once they did that, I was like, okay, it's time for me to move on. And so I was fine with this being like just a lot of bug fixes. It was very much on the operating system side. It was a lot of it was like a Snow Leopard type release where we're just going in and fixing all the stuff that everyone complains about. So I like that. I haven't looked at like all of the tiny changes they've made. Maybe there's some stuff in there I would like, because there is a lot of like small things in macOS that drives me crazy that they have not fixed ever. So maybe some things I like will be in there. But then all of the AI stuff I am either ambivalent about or actively despise. So and of course, like I still don't get any of the I guess we'll talk about this more in detail when we get to the Siri stuff, but like I'm still not I think the Siri on my phone is still going to stay really stupid because I don't have Apple Intelligence on my base iPhone 15. So I guess I'm stuck forever with the Siri that is worse than Google Assistant from 15 years ago.
Okay, so you kind of jumped to a few different topics that I wanted to explore a little deeper. But okay. So let's actually dive into that where you just left or what you just finished on. Apple Intelligence, at least they say, and this is kind of a weird like it's weirdly specific, and it kind of doesn't need to be, but they say their most powerful on-device model is only going to be available on iPhone Air, iPhone 17 Pro, the iPad with M4 and later, and the Max with M3 and later, but only if they have 12 gigabyte of memory or more.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
First off, that's a few interesting qualifiers, especially because most people have no idea how much memory their iPads have. So that's already...
Apple doesn't tell you.
Yeah, Apple doesn't. I know. I'm pretty sure Apple still does not tell you, but if you know how to look it up, you can find it. But still, it's like, come on, Apple. If you're gonna put qualifiers in like this, you have to start disclosing memory, like officially. But yeah, so they're not just cutting out your iPhone 15, they're cutting out the iPhone 16, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they specifically advertise the iPhone 16, or maybe it was the 16 Pro, as like made for Apple Intelligence? It was going to be the, oh my god, this is the hardware that will run the smart Siri and do this and do that. And it's a year later. And they've already been like, oh no, it's new phone number, who dis?
I don't remember what they advertised it as. I know that the base minimum for Apple Intelligence was a 15 Pro or a 16 base. Because whatever A chips those phones had were the oldest that they could go, and then an M1 on a Mac. So yeah, I don't know. It's like, in theory, I like the local models better than everyone else's inclination to offload everything to cloud services. But again, there needs to be a dumb Siri that just works on everything, that is roughly comparable to the Google Assistant or Google Now I had on my Nexus 5 like a decade ago, that could, like right now, the most I can trust Siri with is setting alarms and reminders. That's it. And like playing and pause whatever is currently playing. That's it. I can't, if I ask it to play a podcast that's in my Apple Podcast, it's gonna mess it up. It's probably gonna get whatever album or song I want to play wrong. Any other question, it's gonna do like a broken Google search. So, if they can only roll out like the cool on-device stuff to like the hardware that can handle it, then that's just the way it is. But there's still good. The base Siri still needs to be better. You don't need a local LLM for a lot of this stuff. You can do more of it, and there needs to be some kind of fallback. And I saw people complaining about this mostly in the context of like the like HomePod and like those other devices that are just like, yeah, that's gonna be dumb forever. And it's worse on, it's on them for buying a HomePod, but that's not an ideal experience.
Well, the HomePod, by most accounts, it's good for sound quality. At least the actual HomePod, not the Mini so much. But yeah, it's good for sound quality and kind of bad for like everything else. HomePod users seem to be a largely unhappy group. But yeah, I'm just a little confused at the fact that I get that they're gonna say, okay, maybe we'll make different on-device models for different iPhone models, but it's weird that they didn't even address that. Like, there's no mention of, oh, we're gonna roll out a scaled down version to iPhone 15 and 16. There's not even like, what about iPhone 17? Not the Pro, just the 17. Are these just not getting anything? This is where I'm feeling like they kind of just flubbed a really huge question mark. You shouldn't be leaving out details as salient as that. 1 generation older iPads, what's up? How about any Mac with I was gonna say any Mac with 8 gigs, even if it's like M3 and above. Are those just left out? Actually, they probably are, because I'm sorry, to anyone who bought a Mac with 8 gigs, you were warned. I'm actually not going to, I'm not going to pretend to be too sympathetic on that one. But come on, there should be a little bit more to their announcement.
Do we want to kind of talk about this in roughly the categorization that Apple did on their newsroom? So we have the stuff on screen matching what we're talking about.
Well, we certainly can. I feel like we're probably going to miss a few things. So I'm actually going to, I'll agree to doing that, but with the caveat that I'm going to start with calling out what they didn't talk about.
Okay.
And this is 3 very specific things. Granted, they are very hardware oriented, but they're also kind of software relevant in at least a couple ways. First off, since we just mentioned it, HomePods. No mention of HomePod anywhere at all. I mean, I'm sure they said HomePod. I remember hearing the name HomePod spoken, but there's no mention of a new HomePod at all. No reference, no indication that they are even thinking about the product beyond the occasional, oh, you can ask Siri on HomePod, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, okay. We kind of knew that. Thanks, guys. It's just like Google with Gemini. We knew Gemini was coming to Nest Hubs and whatever else. So yeah, that's not really a big surprise. But HomePod owners have been demanding a new HomePod for a while, like years now, and no reference. So yeah, it's starting to feel like HomePod might be a dead product. If they don't announce a new one this fall, I'm gonna predict HomePod is just actually a dead product.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird that they can't even. Well, like, there's no HomePod, and it's not in your list, but I know some were also hoping for new Apple TVs. Finally, that didn't happen either. Both of those are categories that, like, they really should just be able to update occasionally. It shouldn't for such a not so much for the TV, but for the HomePod, like, for such a simple product in the grand scheme of things, it should be really easy for them to keep it up to date.
Yeah. I gotta say that I will give a little bit of allowance on the Apple TV. Personally, I mean, I'm not gonna tell anyone else what to think on this, but personally, I give a little bit of allowance on the Apple TV because if I remember, and maybe I'm wrong, WWDC is where they would typically announce like new programming stuff for Apple TV, but it's more the fall events where they tend to actually roll out new hardware. I think I could be, I'm not checking my work on this one, but I seem to remember that being the case. So I'm personally, I'm not going to hold them to account on that specific detail, but yeah, I could see that one being one certainly worth expecting. Another one that was worth expecting and didn't get mentioned, also speaking of presumably dead products, a Vision Pro. I admittedly, I didn't think one was coming. No rumors suggested one was coming. But the more significant detail isn't so much that Vision Pro hardware wasn't announced or mentioned in any appreciable way outside of, oh, by the way, this thing also works on Vision Pro, blah, blah, blah. It's that as I skim over the Apple developer YouTube account, you know what I'm not seeing? Videos about Vision Pro. There is one. Maybe there's more, and somehow I missed them. And admittedly, that's a possibility. But oh, sorry, I do see a second one. My bad. I'm literally looking at it right now, and yeah, they really just don't have a whole lot of stuff about Vision Pro, which, okay, they would have made videos last year. That would have been the time to do a lot of videos about Vision Pro. Uh, but generally speaking, and even Google did this with Glass, there was kind of a we'll announce it, we'll do videos about how to develop for it, and then typically you have another cycle where you've learned from watching what developers are doing, and then you make more videos. You circle back and basically say, "Oh, here's some best practices. Here's here's a couple of new libraries. Here's I don't know, whatever else." Like, there's usually more, and it's not here. So, well, crap. Okay, I just found a third. Okay, maybe they did do a little bit more than I thought they did, but it's still thin.
They did make a point to show like the new Siri on Vision OS and whatnot, but yeah, there was not new hardware. They didn't really do anything to dispel the reports of the Vision Pro kind of going on ice for like couple years, whatever the rumors were saying.
Yeah,
I think you can still buy it.
I'm sure you can.
Let's see.
I say that, but
it looks like you still can. It is still $3,500.
Apple doesn't put stuff on clearance.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I still don't feel good about spending what I spent for the Galaxy XR, and that is still about half of this, slightly over half, with the educational discount I had.
Oh, but hey, good news. Apple added a new payment option. You can now just sign your house over to them. That's cool.
If I had one.
Yeah.
No, I can't afford a house because I bought the Vision Pro.
No, you can afford the down payment on a Vision Pro by selling your house to them.
Okay, that's fair.
Oh boy. Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like they needed to give a little bit of attention to the Vision Pro, even if they're going to kill it. Like, they probably should. They should commit one way or another. Let me put it that way. Either just come right out and say, yeah, we recognize that this just wasn't the right product at the right time for this market, or something. I don't know. Just come right out and say it.
Alyssa said, "Got to get the Steam frame, Corbin." No, I already bought my headset for the next couple years.
Corbin is a headset loyalist.
I don't want to. It's pretty nice. And I just found a travel case that works with it as well, because there is still no accessories whatsoever for this thing. It is not popular enough for anyone to care. And I was like, yeah, I was trying to see, like, is there like anything that might work? And it turns out the larger case that Meta made for its Quest headsets works. The one that's made for, because like the normal Quest headset has like the just basic strap. So that's why I had the case I had for my Quest 3 did not fit this, because there's this whole extra bit here with the dial that sticks out. But their larger case, they made it compatible with their Elite strap for the Quest, which is basically this. So that fits perfectly, which is cool. So I can take this places now without like throwing it in a bag and hoping like nothing bumps into it, because it's a weird shape. So I do hope the Steam frame comes out though, for the people who want that. I know a couple people who just gave up waiting and bought other things because it didn't seem like that was coming anytime soon.
Anything from Valve right now, I just assume isn't coming anytime soon, if ever. We do not all give our data to Zuck in some shape or form. I do everything I can to prevent him from getting anything about me now.
I mean, they got a lot of. I mean, they got the inside 3D scan of my apartment when I was using my Quest 3 actively, but they didn't get any data from me buying their plastic case on Amazon. I don't believe.
Oh, as if those two Bezos and Zuck aren't sharing everything.
Yeah, there's actually like a little like hidden NFC tag in the case that sets something off.
Or just in the Amazon packaging.
Austin said, right before the stream started, I went to grab food out of the freezer. At some point, the compressor decided to go up and start pumping in hot air. Nice.
Wow. That's not good at all. Jeez.
Samsung appliances do suck. I have a washer and dryer from them, and the washer just stopped spinning at some point. So it just makes like a pool of water in the bottom. It doesn't do anything. I've not gotten around to fixing that yet. Or more accurately, paying someone to fix it, because I don't think I know how to do that.
Wow. Sounds like a few other brands that people used to consider good. Let's see.
Samsung makes a nice monitor, I will say. That's what I've got on my desk right now.
They're okay.
Except the fact that this is a smart monitor, and I don't think I can turn off Bluetooth. And every once in a while, my upstairs neighbor tries to pair with the monitor, thinking it's a Bluetooth speaker, and it gets like a pop-up that I have to click close on. So that's cool.
Oh my god. See, Bluetooth remains one of the worst things ever invented.
Smart TVs and everything related to them are also the issue here. We messed up on that. We have to undo that.
So the final thing that wasn't announced in any way, shape, or form, and emphasis on that exact phrasing, nothing about touchscreen Macs. This is one of the rumors that has been going really strong for the last 6 months or so, and really just for the last few years. But we've been hearing a lot about Macs coming with micro OLED and touchscreens. And here's the thing: at any point in time, they can obviously just pop up, announce micro OLED is here, and everyone start buying your upgrades, even if you bought last year. But when it comes to touchscreen Macs, that requires software. There is going to be, without question, when they launch touchscreen Macs, it is going to have to come with there will be APIs for building Mac software that works with a touchscreen. They didn't mention it. It's nowhere in the WWDC educational videos. It's not hinted at. It wasn't discussed. They didn't talk about it during the keynote. They didn't allude to it, hint at it, nothing. So that kind of leaves me wondering, why not? Because I know there are people who will say, "Oh, but they can keep that a secret," and why blow the surprise? Well, it's because of everything I just said. They're like, how do you develop software for this? Are people not going to want software that makes use of touchscreens? All they had to do, I'm not saying that they had to blow any big secrets or anything. All they had to do was get out there and say, hey, so one thing we wanted to tell everyone about, we're going to bring touch to the Mac. And we're going to have some videos later that talk about how to do that. We don't have any hardware to share with you today. That's going to be coming later this year. Boom, done. They don't have to give any details. They don't have to tell you what models it would come on. They don't have to tell you if it's going to add to the price. They don't have to tell anything else. They just have to say Mac OS is going to get touch. And
I mean, that doesn't read as weird to me, because again, I forget what this has a certain there is a term for this. I forget what it is. It dates back to like 80s computers. The issue of like, oh, we're announcing that something much better than exists right now is on the horizon. That's gonna kill our current Mac sales. So I would imagine if we get a touchscreen Mac this year, it'll be, whenever they really, what they usually do is like, say it comes out in October, there'll be like a Mac OS 27.1 update that magically has support for everything.
I'm not saying that they can't do that. I'm saying that it's a bad decision to not give developers sort of like a well, again, basically just at least some sort of a heads up that this is coming, because if they don't, what software is going to be out there on day one that people can start using? Like, that's kind of the issue. Obviously, there will be a huge library of software. It's called iPhone and iPad apps, but you're not going to have like Mac native apps that can take advantage of a touchscreen if they're not releasing an SDK for it. If they're not releasing some sort of, well, I don't know that they really need to release an emulator, but if they're not releasing any way to actually build that into the apps. And realistically, there are going to be a few different things that make use of this. I guess I would say different modes. But like an app that's going to make heavy use of touch, multi-touch would presumably be a part of this. Supporting that in a Mac interface would obviously be kind of crucial. And right now, that's just not a thing. You technically actually Mac OS, if you know how, you can actually have multiple mouse pointers. It's a really weird hacky trick, but it works. But there's also going to be probably things like mode switching or assistive features. Let's say that you're using an app and somebody brings their finger close to the screen, assuming the screen can detect something's close without touching. Maybe it could like bring out like touch-friendly button sizes or something like that. I don't know exactly what they're going to do with this, but I have to imagine it's going to be a little bit more than just, oh, hey, here's a touchscreen now. And Alyssa is saying they're trying to keep it somewhat of a surprise. That's not the point, though. You can't really bring something to market as a... like, look at the Vision Pro. I mean, that's an easy enough example. They announced it, put out an SDK, an emulator, and then said, by the way, hardware's not going to be available for, I don't remember how long it was, 9 months or something. So, they gave developers time to build software for a thing that was going to be coming out. They did the same with the watch. Like, those are whole new products. I'm just talking about an existing product that's going to have a new feature. I find it weird that they're not going to announce that in advance. And for what it's worth, actually, Corbin, you brought up the they don't want to cannibalize sales of their existing line when they're going to have new stuff coming out. I don't disagree with that. However, I do think that in this instance, they probably actually do want to do that. It is better for Apple if they cannibalize their current products, getting people to wait on a future product, because they're going to want, one, that future product is going to drive a whole lot of upgrades. Two, it's going to make people want it. Three, it's, I bet anything that when they come out with this, it's going to be like, oh, you can get a MacBook Pro, or you could get a MacBook Pro with touchscreen, and it's going to be like an extra $200 or something. I have a feeling that they're going to have like a a cost hurdle to upgrading to the touchscreen Max. So yeah,
I don't know if I agree that like this is anything that like developers would need to prepare for ahead of time. Like I'm sure it'd be nice and they can get like some more functionality out of it, but the impression I get from like Swift UI is that it gives Apple kind of a lot of leeway over how all the interface elements work on their end and they can customize it. So like maybe apps just have bigger buttons on touchscreen Max automatically when it comes out or something along those lines.
That'll work in a few apps for sure.
Right, not
I
everything.
I think there's a whole lot more that it doesn't work in.
But
Um,
even with the apps where it would be a bad experience on touchscreens, the keyboard and mouse are still there. So to me, that seems like kind of a Rosetta like M1 situation where like, yeah, it's not going to be like super ideal day one, but it's going to be okay enough.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not with that. I think there's a lot. The more I thought about the usage patterns and the interactions, the more it's like this isn't just going to be, you know, 5 or 10 extra system calls that exist if you want to use them. I think they're going to need a whole like I I I don't know. I'll just call it touch kit. Like I think they're going to have like a whole SDK dedicated to this because there's a lot that they need to cover with touch on a Mac. And you know, it's possible that they're just going to say, well, starting today, it's going to do these kinds of things and these kinds of features to make it easier to use touch. And it's not the ideal, but that'll get you going. They can do that. I'm not disputing that as a possibility. But when it comes to like flagship you know, building software that actually takes advantage of it, there's like that there's a huge scope that they could do that. So I don't know. I think they'd be really missing out if they don't do that. And all in the name of secrecy, it would be a bad that I think would be a big mistake. Especially
I
since
guess
again, like what are they giving up with the surprise here? The rumors have been going forever. Who cares? Like, does Apple really need to keep it a surprise that they're going to do touchscreen Max? I don't think they lose enough in sales. I don't think it, you know, I don't think enough people care. And if they really wanted to, they could come out and say, look, it just as a heads up is only going to be for the like highest end MacBook Pro. You know, more details to come, but whatever. Like, you're not going to cannibalize sales if you just come out and say, look, it's only for the expensive stuff. And if you guys are willing to buy that, then good for you. Go ahead and wait.
I guess I don't have as strong of an opinion about this because I still don't think it's like real until it's real. Because this is the touchscreen Maxes have been like a rumor. It's like the folding iPhone. Like I don't know how many years in a row I've seen the folding iPhone coming next year rumors.
And see, that's kind of what I'm even saying.
So I'm like, I don't care until I see it.
But yeah, that is what I'm saying. Is they didn't announce anything. They didn't hint at it. They didn't bring it up at all, which kind of leads me to wonder: are they actually coming out with it in the next cycle? Is it going to be a thing that they announce in, you know, this year or early next, or are touchscreen Macs actually just further out than the rumors suggest? The fact they didn't announce it makes me think it's not coming this fall and probably not start of next year. I'm thinking it's probably going to be next dub when they do something like that. If even then, maybe they'll wait even longer. Because I still think it's not going to be that
folding
good.
iPhone and your Linux are the same. I mean the year of Linux is more on like an individual basis.
Yeah.
For some people, it can be the year of Linux, but it can be the year of the folding iPhone for no one.
True enough. Which, speaking of folding iPhone, okay, this is one. Look, I'll just call it out. MKBHD brought it up, and I've heard other people say it too. They did talk about having an emulator of some kind for testing your apps. It in basically like resizable iPhone and iPad apps, all for the purpose of like quickly switching between different aspect ratios and sizing. And it's like, and he put it pretty well. This is Apple saying that they got a folding phone coming without saying they have a folding phone coming. You know, like, they're not hiding anything really. And I kind of agree. Like, they're not saying it, but they're definitely giving the tools to build for it. And I'd be shocked if there isn't conveniently in that emulator an aspect ratio that just happens to match the folding iPhone.
David said Apple Car ?
They canceled that project. That one's known to be dead.
That would have been a really funny review.
Honestly, it would have been. Yeah, it is a little. It's interesting. I've always wondered what would happen if Apple actually did come out with their car. I'm kind of glad they didn't. I think that would have been a disaster in the making.
It's just so silly. That's like the last thing I need from Apple. I mean,
you got everything else.
If we're making up products that Apple will not go back to, but they should, or like do not make, but they should, I want Apple to try making a router again. They can do that. That's within their possibility. They were okay at it for at least some of that time. I'd like to see them try again.
A few of those. The Airport Extremes, I would not encourage that again, no. Mostly because, actually, not mostly, entirely because, well, no, mostly. I do have other nitpicks. I don't want them to do it because they're so determined to have the control software only be on Mac OS and or iOS.
Yeah, there needs to be a web panel, which I get. Like, I think if they made it now, I think that would be within the realm of possibility because they do kind of care about making it. I don't know if cross-compatible is the right word, but they're not like as locked down as they were. Like, they're making more native Windows software than Microsoft is at this point. So like I could see them doing that. It might be fine, but yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see them try.
Yeah, I almost want to say I'd like to see them make another monitor that's aiming a little bit lower than the studio display, but I also don't think they do that.
Someone said, what would a new airport do that the Nest Wi-Fi doesn't? And yeah, David brought up HomeKit machine. Yeah, HomeKit, like Edge router, could be one thing. Although I guess the Nest stuff does that with Matter. But just like, I don't know, a router that like works and is easy for normal people to use, because as far as that goes, it's pretty much just Eero. And Eero is really stingy with features at this point until you pay them a subscription. So if there was an option for the market for like easy normal person router that just works trademark is Eero, and that's really it. Maybe Nest Wi-Fi. I've not like used it or like heard anyone, talked to anyone who has used one for an extended period of time. So maybe they're okay.
I used a Google Wi-Fi, the first version.
Yeah,
and it was okay. I was really bothered by how, and this was specifically a problem with that. I was kind of bothered by the fact that if your internet connection went down, all of a sudden the Wi-Fi, or the way that the thing behaved, got really buggy and weird, and like it still worked, but sometimes you couldn't reach other things on your own network, which it's like, why? I'm still connected. Everything's still connected. Why can't I reach something on my own network just because my internet connection flopped? So yeah, that always bothered me. And the mere fact that they, again, didn't have a control panel, you had to use everything through an app. Well, a web control panel, I mean, they didn't have. Using everything through the app, I mean, it's nice, but...
Yeah, that was one thing I really enjoyed switching from Eero to this Asus router, which is having issues at the moment, so I'm not going to, like, sing its praises. But like, wow, it's nice to just have a web panel again. I can like check things from my computer without going, hunting down my phone. They said Nest Wi-Fi is a dead simple, no thought router for me. Okay, that's good. So there's two. There's two options for that.
Yeah. I don't know. At this stage, I wouldn't feel comfortable going back to Nest. Plus, okay. I know that this obviously is diverting to a different direction, but I want more control over my router, not necessarily less. I like it. I like the idea of dead simple. I want dead simple for sort of your casual use scenarios, but I want to also be able to drill down and get deep into the messier stuff when I need to, which sometimes I do.
Right, like Mac OS, right? Like it's a normal person can use this, but also you can install Homebrew and Docker if you need it. Like that kind of model would be good. Not like iPhone model, ideally.
Yeah, and to that note, currently I am using, because I reviewed it. I'm using a TP-Link mesh pack. I do not like it. When I reviewed it, it was one of those things. I reviewed it and it kind of reviews well, but as you use it and start running into more scenarios, oh my god, I've gotten more and more frustrated with it. It works fine. It's just when it comes to things like how they've organized things in their web interface or in the app, either one. Well, the web interface is only like barely functional. It doesn't do much. It exists, but you do not have a lot of control in it. But in the app, where they put stuff makes no sense. There are things that I feel like people would want to access all the time that are buried in, like, you got to go to the last page of their thing, then scroll down, find this link that goes to another page, tap a menu, like an overflow menu button, go down to this other option, and this finally brings you to the list of connected clients. And it's like, why isn't that like literally on your front page?
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh my god, I don't even remember how to get there, but if you want to assign a specific IP to something on your network, good fucking luck. It is so irritating on TP-Link's mesh network. It's possible. I've got like 4 or 5 devices with assigned IPs, but man, it is such a nuisance. And it's not just that it's a nuisance. You have to get the information about what device it is and then go to a different page to enter it. And even then, it's just so clunky. And it's not at all where you think it should be. It sucks for things that, I'm sorry, should be fairly easy. So yeah, I really, really want open source third-party firmware to become a universal thing with these, because I hate the stuff that comes with most of the companies that I've seen. One of these days I want to try Asus, because I've heard people actually be pretty happy with those.
I mean, besides the issue I have right now where it just drops packets after an extended period of time without a reboot, I like mine. That's the only issue I've had or been having. Everything else is nice. It has a web panel. The app is okay. It's got lots of mine has lots of Ethernet ports. It's got Wi-Fi 7, 6 gigahertz, all that fun stuff. If I can figure out this one issue, it'll be back to being perfect. But it's an annoying issue.
That is a pretty bad issue, though.
It is a bad issue. So I'd like to get that addressed. That's on the to-do list for after this. Is writing down my settings and then doing a factory reset and see if that fixes it. Because I got it like 2 or 3 years ago, and it shouldn't need to be factory reset, but maybe something got, some bit got switched after a push update or something. It's pretty good at everything but being a router. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So let's see. Anyway, yeah. So I talked.
It's great at being a router in the 12 hours post reboot.
Yeah. I talked about the things that they didn't talk about at WWDC, and we managed to turn that into kind of a long conversation. So what did they talk about? I guess, like you said, we can kind of go in the order of how they categorized it on the newsroom. I guess we'll start at the top of the list, right?
It's in reverse.
They exactly.
So the Apple unveils innovative features, I think, is the first one. But
oh wait, really?
Yeah, they started the Siri. They ended with Siri in the event, and that's the top one here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is are we starting at the top of the list? It's Apple unveils next generation Apple Intelligence. Blah blah blah. That one.
I was thinking of going the other way, but I don't care.
I don't see that. It's literally not.
On the newsroom homepage, Apple unveils innovative features. I'm looking at it.
They changed the title between the card on the front and the page. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
It's Apple introduces innovative features instead of unveils. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Those dicks.
Yeah. So
fire the interns.
This started off with Apple. Well, first of all, I'll note that like the way Apple is talking about their software this year is different. They've kind of given up on talking about iOS and iPadOS and macOS individually because 90% of what they roll out, they're rolling out to all applicable platforms. So it's just easier for them to say like, we made a new feature and it's coming to everything that has where it makes sense for this feature to be. So that makes everything a little bit easier to discuss, I guess.
I actually have a bit of a theory on that. I don't think that that's exactly what they were doing for this event. They kind of did that. I don't know that I'd bet that will continue into future events. My theory though is I think they probably did the company-wide edict of like AI in everything. Find a way to put AI into all of your products. And I bet there were a ton of Apple devs who were all like, yo, I work on Terminal. I'm not putting AI in this thing. Like, there's nothing to put AI in. And the program managers were probably all like, okay, how about this? Can you just go through the bug list and fix everything you can find? And this is why everyone's comparing it to like a Snow Leopard 2 release. Like, this is just go through and fix all the stuff that's broken. And, in other spots, it's like, well, you don't have anything to fix. All right, find it. Go ahead, add new features. We're not opposed to new features. Just add them. And yeah, I feel like that's what kind of happened with this update.
Yeah, this was they started off like very strongly emphasizing that all of the OS updates for this year were focused on refinement and small features. Like, again, in the same way Apple did with between like Mac OS X Leopard and Mac OS X Snow Leopard. Snow Leopard was like didn't really have, it had some new features, but it was mostly just fixing everything up. And they've had like other versions of that. Like I think like I want to say Lion to Mountain Lion was kind of the same thing, but that was a long time ago. Um, so a lot of the stuff they talked about like a lot of subtle like UI and design improvements. They talked about changes like the CPU scheduler, like lower level things. A big theme here was more changes to liquid glass. They finally did the thing that everyone wanted them to do from day one, which is just make it a slider. Make it a slider from most transparent to least transparent. And that's finally in there. And you bet your ass I'm moving that slider all the way to least transparent as soon as I get this update.
Well, and I mean, who asked for fully clear? Nobody. I'm sure there's someone out there who, for giggles, is going to do this for like the occasional screenshots when they write an article.
It's for demos and screenshots that look cool. That's what it's there for.
It's the fun gimmick you do when you don't want anything to show up, you don't have anything in the background. When you have a single app on top of like a flat color background, then when you're doing the screenshots, you'll crank this thing to fully clear, but then you'll never use it this way. No one will. But it's cute that they're pretending. Also, I think that was the we're admitting we were wrong without admitting it. We're just going to give you a slider and pretend that some people will use it fully clear.
I put it in another chat that this was they should have named this update macOS. We're sorry we messed up.
Yep.
This is the redo. This is the please we're sorry. This is the we're sorry card.
I would love to know, because I'm sure they're going to collect stats on this. I'd love to see what their stats end up being of like how many people just push it to fully opaque and how many people just leave it on default.
It has to be a lot. I feel like the most obvious stat of that, though, at least for that first couple months, was just how many people are not updating, because it was very, again, like me, I was one of those, and I'm never, to be clear, I'm never one of those people on phones where I'm like, I'm not updating the major OS version for months. But like, I really didn't want to deal with this until they work some of it out. Of course, I'm doing that on Mac because everyone does that on Mac. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be updating just so they can get this slider and just crank away the liquid glass.
Yeah. So I would assume like the adoption rate of iOS 26 last year was sort of the proxy for how many people want liquid ass.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you remember Techathon, when somebody asked like, have you ever? Oh, I think it was Michael Kreider asked, is there any technology that you've ever like not updated or refused to use or something like that? I immediately cut in and it's like liquid glass, and suddenly the entire panel of all the people there speaking were like, yep, no, we're with you. No one wants this. Like, that reaction was just gold.
Yeah, so a lot of like smaller UI improvements they talked about, some changes to like tap to pay and how like the wallet handles passes. They showed off, scrolling through the list, some improvements to Apple Maps for like the 7 people who use it. I'm one of those people though, so that's nice.
I mean, I think people do use it, but it's like if you're sitting at your computer, or maybe you don't want to bother typing in, like downloading the Google Maps app on a fresh iPad or something, and you just need to use something, I don't doubt people pop open Apple Maps, but yeah, I think it's probably still the nascent.
Yeah, I think it's still fun as a meme for me that it's bad. But like I'm sure a lot of people are using it because it's good enough. That's
Well,
also
and
where I'm
also
at.
it's almost, from what I've heard, it's almost hard not to use it if you're using it in the car, like as a CarPlay
Um,
function, because I believe you can use Google Maps and Waze.
yeah, you can.
Um,
I've done that sometimes. It's just another app that you
yeah,
open.
but it's one of those things where, at least as I understand it, Apple kind of shoves it in your face first, and I think a lot of people don't bother changing that. At least not anymore.
Um, Also in the one thing that was kind of cool is iCloud albums. You can now upload pictures to them from non-Apple devices. So like if you send an album, if you share an album with people, they can just add pictures from anything. They don't have to like own an iPhone. That's cool. I don't use any like iCloud sync stuff. I still have most of that in OneDrive, but that's good for if I need to switch in the future, I guess. Um,
Someone probably finally told them, "Hey, maybe this exclusionary stuff isn't working so well for you."
yeah. Um, so yeah, just a bunch of like small stuff. They updated like the podcast app again. I would really like them to completely redo the interface for podcasts because it is terrible. I don't, I really struggle to understand how the company that like propelled podcasts to a like media format in the iPod days has made their app so bad. Like the fact that in the podcast app on my telephone, I have to scroll all the way to the very bottom of the index page to show my recently played episodes. It's only down there. Past all of the like suggested shows that I'm never going to listen to. You can Apple, you can keep putting you know, conservative politics podcasts in that list. I'm not going to ever click on them.
They're getting their advertising dollars.
Yeah, it's like every time I watch Last Week Tonight, and at the end, HBO's like, "Don't you want to watch Bill Maher?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not." I don't know if anyone has ever wanted to after watching that show. Um, so yeah, a lot of small stuff. I would like to go through like the big list of stuff later and see what's in there. I'm hoping I can finally disable audio devices on macOS without additional hacks. That would be nice. I'm really tired of my Mac picking like the microphone in my AirPods or something uh, when I always have a better microphone connected. Do not ever use a Bluetooth microphone, please, computer. I
Mm-hmm.
never ever want you to do that. Anything else would be preferable.
Yeah, I've wanted a little bit more like intelligent default control many times, and it's like this should just be a thing you can control, or like a priority or something. Just be smarter about it.
Bring back system preferences while you're at it.
Well, yeah. We probably shouldn't even get started on that one because holy crap,
Mhm.
yeah, the new one still sucks. Um, so yeah, they did do a lot of neat little changes. Weirdly included in that list. I don't know that I would even call this. Or to me, it wasn't the same thing on the same level, but AirPods, they're adding custom EQ. You know, that feature that has been in literally every other wireless earbud for years. Honestly, I didn't know AirPods didn't have this. This to me is like the copy paste situation from early iPhone days. Like, how did they not have this? It is a basic feature. Everybody should have this. Even earbuds that are like $50 have custom EQ. How did Apple never have this?
It's also weird because there is an EQ setting in like the Apple Music app. So like they already have all those like filter options. It just needed to be system wide instead of in only in that app.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, it's hard to find words for this. I'm just so flabbergasted that they wouldn't have this feature previously. So, I mean, good on them for adding it, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Vision Pro. You can. This was their obligatory. We have to mention Vision Pro somewhere during the keynote. They mentioned that if you took a panoramic photo, then you can now use that as your environment in Vision Pro. So you can finally have your own custom environments instead of the ones Apple provides. Okay. So you added wallpaper as a feature. Wallpaper.
Yeah. Android XR is also missing this, and I would really like it to be added. Especially so I can add a background that is just total darkness. Because right now the closest I can get to that is one of all the environments have like a light and a dark mode, and there's like one in like snow-covered mountains that has a dark, and it is pretty close to, it's good enough. But I would like a like fully lights off background, and it's weird that is not there.
So what you're saying is you don't want to. You're so averse to sun that you don't even want it in your virtual environments. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll give them credit. They did list a lot of things during the event that are kind of like hey, we're catching up, or we're fixing this thing, or we're making the little improvements that we probably should have made ages ago. And that's good. I'm really not complaining about that. I think they did do a good thing there. I'm surprised, actually, if anything, that they decided to come out and just say, yeah, we're kind of not taking a year off, but we're not going to go all out with this mega list of new features. That being said, that as soon as that was the WWDC announcement, they have several announcements throughout the year. Every other one is still going to be the mega list of new features, many of which are still going to be things that Android has had for a decade. But hey, still good. I'm not complaining about it. One thing I found kind of interesting, kind of dipping back to Liquid Glass for a second. New icons. They are making new icons for many of the Apple apps. I believe it was Maps they showed off that was let's see, is that in this article? It occurs to me I forgot to check where this stuff gets mentioned. No, I guess it's not in this article. But okay, we'll come back to the icons then, because I bet it's mentioned in one of the others.
It's a very loud dog outside.
Let's see. So this article also mentioned, maybe you already got this or covered this, but more flexible sharing options. Which, yeah, okay. They talked about that a little bit, and it was a thing. Being able to split bills in Apple Wallet. Honestly, kind of, again, I thought that was a thing that they had. Seamless checkout experiences with Apple Pay. Apple Podcast expands video. Oh, so they added video podcast to Mac OS and tvOS? Huh.
I didn't know that wasn't there, but also I don't want that. I don't. It's just YouTube, but in a different place.
Pretty much, yeah. I guess, like, kudos to them for supporting it, but yeah, I'm not a video podcast person very often. Every once in a while, though, if I will say this: if I ever want to listen to an individual episode of a podcast, like a podcast I don't listen to, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably looking for it in video form. Mostly because I want to find it on YouTube and get it there. Just because I don't want to deal with adding it to my podcast app at all. Like, I don't want to pull up I don't want to use my podcast app to browse for it and find it. I just want to pull it up, watch it, skip around, do that stuff on my computer, not on my phone.
So do you want to go to the next thing?
Yeah, I think so, because
which is
there's not a whole lot else in this one.
Parental controls, which we're talking about this as I don't have children, and I don't think Cody also has children.
Not that I know of.
So yeah, I don't know. I felt kind of weird about this because Apple has obviously been participating in the content age gating as it happens around the world. Like, if you use an iPhone in the United Kingdom, at this point, it is very locked down until you do like ID age verification stuff. Like they're not doing very much pushback against all of the laws that are getting passed about this kind of stuff. So they didn't really talk about that specifically. This part of the presentation to me read as like them advocating for their proposed solution, which is just like parents need to be making the decisions about everything instead of a government, which I don't know is really better. It's kind of encouraging like helicopter parenting. Like, again, not a parent. I understand, like, as a parent, it's nice to be able to check like what your kid is doing on the phone. But some of this gets into kind of a weird place. And I think back to like when I was a kid, if I had like someone like severely locking down every single like type of interaction I could do on the web, I wouldn't have met a lot of the friends I have now. I'm sure that's doubly true now, where like pretty much even more communication is happening digitally, as opposed to school or whatever. So I don't know, I just kind of felt a little weird about this segment. And I don't know.
Well, let's see. So I don't know. This one
again, non-child have.
Okay, so I see this as how to break this one down. So I'll say, one, I appreciate the fact that Apple, to some extent, is basically putting the tools out there. Like, I'm fine with the tools existing. I think they should exist. I think it's a good thing that a platform can have them, because the thing that's useful, or the thing that's good for one person, isn't necessarily good for the next. So to that end, yeah, the tools should exist. If I'm going to take a risk and try explaining a kind of dark scenario, but if you happen to have a kid who is, let's say a bit of a pyromaniac, maybe, just maybe, you should probably have some sort of observation over who they're making friends with, and making sure that it's not somebody who is likewise inclined to maybe foster those tendencies. Maybe you want to prevent them from getting in touch with people who are able to provide them with materials that would be possibly incendiary in some way, shape, or form. Um, Likewise, you might want to control what their like the websites that they visit. There are pretty good arguments to be made for uh, being able to have controls over things when they become necessary. The counterpoint, the last thing I would really want to do is lock down a kid of reasonable age from going anywhere on the internet, or from
Right. The 9-year-old probably does not need Snapchat. I would
oh yeah.
I would agree on that level. I
uh
think like when
yeah,
it gets into like the teens and you're still kind of super locked down as many experiences as possible, I think that's where it gets dicey.
yeah. And obviously, they even said like that their strategy is sort of be able to lock down completely but relax the rules with time, like that's the strategy that they were kind of pushing, or at least that was the messaging that they pushed. So I think that's decent. I'm not mad at them for this. Contrast that with by the way, I don't think we're going to talk about this directly, but the UK just this week, the UK government announced that they basically just want to have a full blockade of children being able to take, share, or view nude images, which I get what they're going for, but
you cannot detect that.
Yeah, so
that doesn't work. I saw one comment where I don't know where it was, but it was someone describing like all the UK politicians must think there's just like a button or like a lever that says like roll out nudity blocking, and the CEOs just won't press it. It's like no, that's not how that works.
yeah, so I shared the link in chat, but this is literally, it's not a news story from like a news outlet. This is literally posted by the UK government. It's basically them saying it's this long thing of them saying, yeah, there should just be no way at all for anyone under 18, I think it is, from being able to have any sort of nude imagery in any way, shape, or form. It should never appear on the screen. It should never be in front of the camera. Nothing. Like it should just be fully blocked. And again, I get what they're saying. I understand what they're saying. But I also find myself thinking, all right, so if for example, somebody under 18 needed to use like telemedicine situations, are you saying that a doctor should not, they can't take a picture of, obviously not, not something dicey, but if they need actual for medical purposes, they shouldn't be able to take a picture and send it to a doctor? Is that off limits? That it doesn't seem like it should be.
And again, like this article also says, as well as stopping children from being able to access porn. But again, like who's defining that?
Yeah.
Where's the scenario where like you'd open a Wikipedia article for like Renaissance art and the image gets blocked and like your parents are alerted? Again, like it's just completely silly.
Yeah. And also very notably, I've got a big question about genuine implementation of this sort of thing, because
it just don't can't
the way that work. Yeah, the way they're describing it is the platform in its entirety must block anything that constitutes nude imagery. And it's like, wait, okay, I get that messages coming in and going out, yeah, go ahead, use some model to scan those, great. And apparently I didn't actually know this, but apparently FaceTime actually has something that detects in video when that's happening.
Right.
Okay, these make sense to me. I don't object to this. But the way that the UK government is asking for this, they're implying that literally the image pipeline, anything that appears on screen in any way, shape, or form just automatically has to be scanned. So we're talking 100% of the time, just scan the image pipeline, like the GPU level needs to be scanning for this. And it's like, no, no. How much battery are you gonna waste? Like, if they turned
Right.
on the features that the UK government is asking for, watch your battery life go from like 2 days. I don't know if that's even realistic. From what I understand with iPhones, 2 days is still optimistic.
My phone dies
but-
at 2 p.m. every day because it was looking for boobs constantly.
Yeah. And very notably, it won't be yours though. It will only be for kids. Because kids can't see boobs. But adults, you get a perfectly normal iPhone. It works great for you. But kids, watch as their battery life goes to hell. That will one day become the greatest thing about turning 18, is your phone will last longer. That should be a stupid sentence, but it would be true.
Yeah, I did like Apple talking about like them implementing a gore filter for images. I would like that. However, I believe they were still talking about it as something that only works through like direct messages, like iMessage or text or something. It's like, well, no one's texting me that. no one's sending me like, hey Corbin, I just got my arm chopped off. Here's a picture of it. That has not happened to me. But I have seen people do post things on like social media that I wish I did not look at. I'm trying very trying very hard to scroll past that.
Corbin, I keep telling you, get off of Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know why you won't listen to me. Stop using Twitter.
That's where my bank is. If I get dismembered, you'll be the first I show. No, please don't. Please do not send me your horrible injuries. I hope you get better, but I don't want to see it.
I lost an arm. I got better.
You will get blocked immediately if you send me gross things. I'm sorry. Blocked and reported, as a matter of fact.
Oh, nobody does anything about reports anymore.
But it makes me feel better.
Well, yeah, of course. So yeah, Apple was very obviously trying to pander to governments with this, and I say pander. That I actually don't even mean it in a bad way.
I don't think they were. I think they were doing their counter argument. They were like, actually, parents know best, which also isn't always true.
Oh no, it's often very wrong. But yeah, the practical argument here is, and yes, I even agree. Like in many instances, leaving that to the parents is probably going to be your most effective argument. Because every time government tries to say, oh, we know what's best, and then somebody else pops up, well, don't parents know what's best for their kids? All of a sudden you see parents flip around and go, hey, yeah. And yeah, then the government's got to be like, never mind, we're out of this. It happens every time. Remember when that happened with vending machines in schools here in the US?
Yeah.
That was rich, as suddenly parents are out there screaming, more sugar for our kids. What? Are you sure?
Also in the US, let the parents decide is an argument I see deployed almost universally for things no child should ever have to go through. Like not getting vaccinated, or not being exposed to the existence of gay people. So that argument also kind of makes me like inherently die a little bit inside. But anyway, maybe we can talk about Siri now, which is much less controversial and going well thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I like that we're just not talking about the kids or not finishing this article on the kids stuff, but
we're not talking about the kids.
I'm actually
Um,
with you on this.
so yeah, again, every year Apple's been like, we're gonna fix Siri this year. Don't worry about it, guys. And maybe this is the year where that's right. I don't know. Again, all of this is tied into like Apple Intelligence stuff, but they talked a lot about actually this one that says Siri is mostly things that are not Siri. It has like other interface stuff. I need to go to uh is it Apple unveils next generation of Apple Intelligence and Siri AI? I think this is it. Oh no, this is the same article. Wow, the newsroom page sucks. Okay. Um. So, yeah. New Siri. They talked about it being. Well, first of all, it looks a little bit different
No,
now.
these
It's
aren't the
kind of
same.
this. What the
Those two articles.
Well, there's three links on the homepage, and two of them are the same
Oh,
article. Yeah.
did we? Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
The one that
I don't think I
has.
opened both of those. How did I
Yeah, I'm
skip
trying to
that?
see. Both of these have like a little bit of information about the news series, but it is mostly in the one that says WWDC 2026 Apple unveils next generation of Apple Intelligence. Um, and this shows off some of the new series, which like opens from the dynamic island
Or
at the
from the
top.
button, the action
Yeah,
button you can long press.
yeah, and it puts text responses at the top, and you can talk to it, and it replies, and kind of just very similar to like current Gemini, really, down to like in theory controlling your phone a little bit. Again, it's pulling from the same. One connected theme they had was talking about how the Spotlight database is supposedly a lot better on the upcoming versions of macOS and iOS, which is again another thing where I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it because you say that every year and it seems to be about the same.
I I already just have such trauma over Spotlight because of all the times, admittedly probably like 10 years ago, but all the times that I would find my Mac would be running at like full bore with fans going and everything, and I look and it's like, oh, Spotlight's indexing again. And finally I just started disabling Spotlight whenever I set up a Mac. So, you know, I'm I have a feeling I'm just not going to get this stuff because I'm not going to want to leave Spotlight on.
I mean, I've had Spotlight enabled, and the only issue I've had with it is occasionally it stops searching, and I have to like kill it or reboot my computer or something. That's it. Um, uh, Alyssa said Windows 11 search is worse. I mean, it's worse than like everything. Windows search is bad. Except if you have a wonderful AI PC and you can search using like normal words instead of like matching exact text strings. But I don't know how that works. And Apple says on this press release that the new Siri can answer questions related to the content on a user's screen, draw on personal context, understanding to search across apps, and go out to the web to get up to date information using broad world knowledge and generate a helpful answer. And also just some general, that one thing I'm going to say very few positive things about Siri and Apple Intelligence. One of them is that I appreciate all of the demos they showed for Siri. The responses were basically like what you would get from early Google Assistant or early Siri, or like my preferred interaction model with voice assistants, where it's like, I ask you a question, give me the answer, and then that's it. We're done. The interaction is over. Where like, compared that with ChatGPT or Google Gemini, even when Gemini is supposed to be functioning as a virtual assistant, like something you're getting quick responses from, it just wants to talk to you. It wants to keep like a conversation going, wants to keep burning tokens. And it's a very bizarre interaction model, and I really do not like it. I was getting that on the Galaxy XR with its Gemini, like Gemini Now thing, where like I'm asking questions based on what the camera sees, and I really don't like it. It makes me feel like like I'm being patronized to almost. Like it's just very weird. So I appreciate that Apple is trying to implement this new technology, but also uh, going back to the simpler interaction that I would prefer. Again, like don't like keep having a conversation with me. Just kind of give me the answer, and then we can all move on. Because you're not a person. I don't want to talk to you for that long.
So, in perhaps the most ironic or snarky way possible, I could say it aims to be brief. It says its purpose and then it's done.
Yeah.
Which is me being brief to the thing you just said.
Yes.
But yeah, that was the thing that really stood out to me too. Is the responses mostly fit into a tiny little window instead of this like 2 or 3 page dissertation on the simple little question you asked. Yeah, that was a huge difference, and I deeply appreciated seeing seeing that kind of output. So they got that one thing very right.
Yeah. And again, I don't have too much else positive to say about this because again, like I won't I won't be getting this on my phone, I'm pretty sure. But it's just normal, slightly smarter AI stuff. Again, same story with trying to do as much as possible on the device, but it can talk to servers when required. Obviously, a lot of the like information lookup would probably be looping in servers. I don't know if like for those it would just be talking to servers to get the data and then computing that on device, or if just all of that is moved to the servers at that point. I would assume the latter, so it's faster. But yeah, and they showed off like my favorite segment, or my my favorite segment in every tech conference is the part where they get to like asking complicated questions to the AI chatbot, and it's something that only a few years ago would be a web search where you go to an article that has ads and whoever made it gets paid for it in some amount, or the company that's hosting it gets paid. Maybe the writer doesn't get anything, but in theory there's a working model there for I give you information and I get a couple cents in return. And we got to the part in Apple's demo where it's like someone asking a complicated question and it's Siri responding with like a full detailed description and a table and everything. I'm like, there's the industry I was in, continuing to be evaporated in front of my eyes. And again, who knows if what Siri was saying in there was true? That doesn't really matter. It just looks right. Definitely hasn't caused problems. It will not tell you to eat glue on or rocks. I'm sure it'll all be fine.
Yeah, so well, there are so many things that can and will go wrong no matter what with AI, so I'm not really gonna I don't think there's anything different here.
Apple is not immune or has fixed all of the problems that exist with these other implementations, as much as Apple loves to pretend that they're different.
Well, they didn't even imply that they were. I don't know if you noticed this, but if you obviously it's not as many times, but Apple
factor.
Well, Apple came right out and said, "Yeah, we're using Google Gemini. Like our models are based on Google Gemini. We may have tweaked them a little bit, like we probably added some training data or whatever. They didn't really say what they did, but they kept saying, "Oh, Apple found what is it, the Apple Foundation models or whatever." Whatever they were calling it.
I would imagine a lot of the technical work is just like we know how to build machine learning integrations for our hardware, and this has a bunch of like added things in it to be as optimized as possible on their chipsets.
Perhaps, or I'm thinking it might be like specific things that are tied into the OS or something.
Mhm.
Anyway, I look, they're just using Gemini, and they said it a lot, which I can't tell whether this was Google forcing them to mention Gemini several times as like a contractual thing, or was it Apple mentioning Gemini over and over again so that they could basically say, like, when something bad happens, they can say, "Oh, well, that's Google. We made the good thing that uses Google's thing, but yeah, sorry, Google made an imperfect thing, and we're able to blame them." Like, which of those it is, I don't know. I could see it being both, but I felt like they mentioned Gemini a lot on purpose, for some reason. Enough that like I wanted a counter for how many times they actually mentioned Gemini, and I didn't bother looking it up, but I bet I'd be shocked if it was under at least 10 times, and that's a lot for Apple to mention a competitor.
I mean, if there's a conspiracy, if there's a tinfoil hat reason for that, I would be more likely to put it on our contract with the Google requires that we mention this during the event that people watch.
Right, right. It, but I could also see it being both, like just both.
Yeah.
um,
Also, Chad said might also be a bit of we super duper promise we're not doing more partnerships with OpenAI.
yeah, actually, that would be a good one
Um,
too.
Maybe I don't know. I find it hard to believe that like uh it's better for your public image to be partnering with Google than OpenAI.
At this
Um,
point, you're kidding, right?
I don't.
At
I
this
mean,
point, I think OpenAI is, dude. Sam Altman has just done everything to ruin that company's reputation. Like, if you're not an Altman fan, or just like a like so when I say this, I apologize. I'm not trying to say this as a like a full insult. This is more of a like general casual insult. But if you're a brain dead OpenAI user, and I mean that is in like you just default to thinking Chat GPT is AI, and you don't really think about there being other AI providers out there. When I say brain dead, that's what I'm implying is the lightweight version of brain dead, as opposed to like Elon Musk fans. Anyway,
mhm.
um if you're not one of those people, then right now Google looks so much better than OpenAI. The reputation is better, their way of handling things is better, their responsibility is better. um Obviously, like, if you want to go for the pristine version of this, you go to Anthropic, but uh you know Google is kind of like the next best company, which is scary, but they're so much better than OpenAI. They're infinitely better than Musk's crap. They're definitely better than Meta. Like, yeah, I wouldn't be as ashamed of partnering with Google as I would be most of the others.
Also, they said I think most of Google's poor reputation is with people who are terminate online. OpenAI has a much wider AI bad mind share. I would agree that OpenAI is the designated hate target in a lot of these conversations. However, it is important to remember that Google is the one putting stupid bullshit when you try to search for things now, and that also makes a lot of normal people annoyed.
No, they are
I
all doing that. It's just Google is the one that you were already using, so you
right,
see it there more.
right. That's what I mean. Like all of them are making people mad, but I would agree. Like, well, I don't know. I don't know. It's all kind of mixed in.
Well, they're all certainly bad, so that much there's no disputing. Regardless, um, Well, okay, so yeah, moving on. Um, yeah, moving on. You were saying before before we brought up the Gemini models thing.
Well, just like the normal information lookup stuff, again, as always, fills me with some dread. And Apple also had to take some time out in this presentation to show off image generation. So rest assured, you can continue making as much slop as you would like. And Apple is super excited for you to do that. They also showed off, I don't know if this is like Siri or Apple Intelligence, but it's all kind of mixed in together. But like some like tab organization stuff for Safari, very similar to what like I think Edge has it. I know Firefox does, where it'll, you know, try to group your tasks together with a little lightweight model somewhere. And they also showed off a thing of where like you can ask Safari to like make something and it will try to build a web extension that does a thing, which I really, really hope that anything being built in that manner does not have any external dependencies or libraries or like talks to the internet at all, because I cannot emphasize enough how much of a security nightmare browser extensions are. And if you don't know what's going in the code, I would be worried about what it could be leaking, even unintentionally. So I really hope Apple locked that down quite a bit, and just like maybe at a certain point of advanced functionality, it's like, no, we're not going to build that, because that would make me very nervous to use that. And I think that's about it. I have to say about the intelligence and Siri stuff. Just kind of like, again, I like the first 20 minutes of this WWDC where they're talking about, you know, everything you get annoyed by on our platforms, we're fixing. We're sorry about liquid glass. We're gonna do better. Here's a bunch of little fixes. You know, we're making everything slightly better. And then here is everything else. here's all the AI stuff. And again, they did not talk about kind of what's happening to Siri on older devices. I assume someone has installed the beta on, you know, older iPhones and reported back that nothing's changed, but I've not read all those things yet because I've been super busy, unfortunately.
It happens.
I
All of
took too much time out of my day yesterday watching the live stream. I could have tuned out after the AI stuff started, went back to work. I didn't need to see that.
Yeah, so I watched the event and took notes during it, which, man, that that made it take a lot longer to watch. Especially since I'm only vaguely referring to them now. But yeah, so some of the things that they also hyped up with the new Siri, they mentioned bringing a new app, like a dedicated Siri app, which I kind of found a little amusing because it's other than just how it looks, it's basically just the Gemini app, like straight up. You can go back and look at your old conversations with it. That's pretty much what it does. Like it's an interface so you can have a conversation and you can look back at your old conversations. Yep, that's the Gemini app. Nothing more, nothing less. They just wrapped it in a different UI. Let's see. They what was the other stuff? The other thing that I kind of noticed is a lot of their integrations. It was the same stuff that we've just seen. You mentioned browser extensions. Well, yeah, it was kind of the same stuff a lot of browser extensions are just doing now too. Like, obviously, like grammar checking and being able to generate and quickly insert like either templates or formats or generating text, images, whatever. Like, it's all the same stuff that we've had browser extensions doing for a long time. I didn't really see anything new. This just sort of felt like Apple introducing all that stuff to the OS in a way that you obviously couldn't really do in the OS before without at least some very hacky stuff. So in a way, like, I can't be mad at this because yeah, this is the stuff people actually legitimately are going to use and want. Well, some of it. But at the same time, it feels weird seeing this stuff announced as if it's new, and it's like, well, it's new if you have never used browser extensions. That's it. Like, there you go, browser extensions, but not anymore. I don't know, that felt a little weird to me. Let's see, you mentioned image generation, and I realize I think you were going off of the Apple introduces Siri AI article, whereas I was actually sitting on the unveils next generation Apple Intelligence article. But one of the things that kind of is part of that overlap, and they didn't really pitch this as a Siri thing, but I want to talk about their spatial reframing feature in photos.
Yeah.
Your tone makes me think you're about to say negative things, so go ahead. I want to hear it because I have a different take.
I mean, in theory, I don't have anything against like touch-ups because again, I'm doing that. I'm clicking a thing of like, oh, some like crud got on the camera in this spot, or like there's a weird glare here, I'm gonna wipe it out and erase. But a lot of the demos they were showing off was like just fully like expanding parts of the picture and changing like the direction people are looking and stuff. So it does get into the arguments of like making photos like perpetually more detached from reality, and I know people have different opinions on that. I would say mine of that is like very context dependent, but I don't know. I do think it's kind of weird to use. It would be weird to use features like that for a lot of photos you take. Is my opinion, I think.
So for anyone that didn't watch this, I'll just super summarize it, and you can kind of see it with the demo that I have playing on the stream right now. Basically, you can take a photo of presumably of a person, though I don't see why this couldn't apply to like animals or maybe even inanimate objects, whatever. But you can basically shift the foreground and background, which is certainly an interesting effect. And when I say shift, I mean it's almost kind of like a parallax, like as if you moved the orientation of the camera in respect to the subject, which is a hell of a lot of effect and feature to have right there. And then as you move it around, it basically creates a blurred area, or it shows you a blurred area, which when you stop and hit the reframe button, what it'll do is basically go to Apple servers, generate a background to fill in that spot. Presumably it tries to do it from the original photo and using various other context clues, but may or may not really work. And yes, it can do things like sort of slightly adjust the direction that an individual person is looking, or things like that. So first off, I think a lot of this is basically just content aware fill. It's just Adobe's feature that has existed for the last couple of years. Well, I mean, there was the original content aware fill for ages ago, but this is the new AI gen version of it. And I mean, if we weren't complaining about that one so much, we can't really complain about this. So I don't even see a problem with that. As far as adjusting the subject, the thing is, I think back to, again, features that Google had, where they were basically doing this already with Top Shot, I believe was the name of the feature, where the phone took like 8 different photos in a short span of time, and it was like, oh, in this photo, this person's smiling, and in 2 photos later, this person was smiling, but neither photo had both smiling at the same time. We'll just blend them together, and hey, look at that! Now everyone's smiling. I mean, yeah, this is a different technique. Obviously, you can make someone smile when they never smiled, or to be fair, they didn't actually mention doing that, but you get the idea. Like, you could change someone to do something that they didn't actually do. Outside of that, I'm not really seeing a huge difference. And here's the thing I'm going to say about this that I think is, to me, the big takeaway. I've heard 2 different opinions on this. One of them being that tons of people are going to use this, and I've heard tons of people aren't going to use this. Like, no one's going to use this. It's going to be super rare, and it'll be forgotten in like a month. I'm gonna come down hard on this and say, oh my god, this is gonna get so used. It's gonna be so popular. This is going to be like every Apple keynote, we would always say there's one thing that they show off that we always dismiss and say, yep, that's the dumb gimmick that they had. No one's gonna care. And then it ends up being the thing that everybody jumps on, and it becomes normal for them. Every Apple user is using this. Obviously not every, I'm exaggerating, but it will become super popular, and I think that's what this is going to be. And it's for the example they're showing off right here in this demo. It's going to be parents with their kids. It's going to be the girl who likes taking photos of, or selfies with herself and her friends. It's gonna be the or for that matter, the girl that sends her boyfriend to take pictures of her in front of things. It's gonna be that. These are the people who are going to be using it, and they're gonna love it. They're gonna love being able to go back and fix the little stuff, and they're gonna want to make everything perfect, and they're dying for this. I bet this got showed off, and we're not sitting on Facebook looking at this crap. I'm not sure anyone uses Facebook anymore. I think it's all bots. I'm only half kidding. But I can't help but think that there's somewhere out there that this one clip from the Apple event is being shared around so much, and there right now are parents who are literally just drooling over it. They have decided they will pay whatever it takes to get this, including upgrading all their phones. I guarantee this is the thing that will drive them crazy with how much they're going to use it. And they're going to share these photos around. They're going to love it. So that's my take on it. I think that Apple, as cringy as this can be, I think this was the moment Apple effectively knocked it out of the park for a lot of viewers.
Yeah, again, like I don't like object to any of these tools because I've obviously used their equivalents in Photoshop and Lightroom and whatnot. It does just get into a kind of a weird spot if you're using this for like a lot of photos, and like photos that are, would ideally be portraying the candid nature of our reality, so to speak.
Well,
no one wanted to see my unedited pictures for product reviews. I'll say that much. There was not an expectation there to have my, million dust particles and finger smudges all over those pictures.
Oh yeah. If people have watched me do live edits of my review photos, and the sheer volume of dust particles I have cleaned up over the years is immeasurable.
Getting the heal tool out and click, click,
Yep.
click,
Um,
click. Oh, I didn't wipe this off. Click.
yeah. Oh, and that moment where you suddenly realize, oh my god, there I left a fingerprint on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there goes 20 minutes of my life.
Yeah. And then you zoom out and you see the 300 small dots in Lightroom. You're like, I probably could have saved time wiping this thing
Yeah.
off.
Or worse, you do a very meticulous fix, you think it's good, and then you zoom out and it's like, oh my god, now it looks too good, and the whole rest of the photo looks terrible. Oh crap, screw it. Okay, no fixing this. It's gonna have a finger smudge. Yeah, we've suffered through this enough. But yeah. I just think that this is going to be so immensely popular, and people won't be able to resist it, because people do like perfection. And I mean, you said it betrays the candid nature. I don't think we live in a world where that's still a thing. I think there's so many people that live in that Instagram perfectionist world where they recognize everything is imperfect, but they need the things that they share with the world to look perfect. They only want to share the food photos where the lighting on their food is perfect, so that their lunch looks more amazing than their neighbor's lunch. They want their kids to look like they were shot by a professional photographer, when in reality you just whipped out your phone, did a quick snap, and left. They want everything. They want their yard to look perfectly trimmed. They want their plants to be fully grown and more colorful than anyone else's plants. Like, they need perfect. And this gives them that little bit sneakier advantage to perfect, even though they're all, it's sort of the mutually assured destruction, or, equal weapons for everyone, whatever it's called. Everyone's going to upgrade so that they can one up each other, and in effect actually all just be using the exact same tools the same way.
Yep. So I don't think I don't have any more opinions about Siri and Apple Intelligence. I think maybe the only thing that's kind of interesting to note is Apple once again getting pissy at the European Union, because Apple was like, we just need a little bit more time to. Again, they were getting mad that, like, if they rolled out these features in Europe, they legally have to give other virtual assistants the same hooks. They mention, just read from their press release. Given the serious risk to users, Apple designed a solution called Trusted System Agent, an intermediary that would allow virtual assistants to safely access the same features and capabilities as Siri AI for devices in the EU. Apple also shared a plan to launch Siri AI in the EU while gradually rolling out this new solution over an 18-month period. The European Commission said no. In fact, the European Commission did not agree to any of Apple's proposals. So again, Apple was like, can we roll this out, and then we pinky promise we'll let other competitors have this functionality. Of course the EU said no, that's illegal. You have to do it at the same time. That's the entire point. But they're like, can we please have 18 more months to work on this? No. So people in Europe might not get all this new stuff immediately, and that's fine. Again, Apple just loves to do this every time. They're like, the continent of Europe is being so mean to us. They're hurting our feelings. And again, like, part of this also reinforces the thing where, like, Apple's AI has all of, like we talked about earlier, Apple's AI has inherently all the same problems and limitations as all the other ones, built with LLMs. And they talk about like, yeah, having a LLM with unrestricted access to your entire computer is dangerous. It's like, yes, Siri will be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Probably it's gonna do something. It's gonna tell someone to eat glue. It's someone's gonna put in health questions in Siri, and it's gonna say something made up. It's going to, every story you've heard about uh, OpenClaw wrecking havoc on someone's files, or something else in their digital ecosystem because they got a prompt mixed up or the model just like completely lost it. I'm sure that'll happen with Siri at some point. Apple is not immune to any of these problems, so they're correct that an AI agent could potentially cause problems. They just they were telling the EU, we're just built different, and shockingly, the European Commission did not go for that.
Yeah. Uh, no, I think that this is kind of hilarious. It is definitely an Apple versus the world sort of a narrative where, yeah, they are trying to sell it as if, oh, we definitely know what we're doing. We can't possibly make any mistakes. Never mind when we do. And it, it's it this is never going to stop being kind of funny, honestly, because the EU doesn't want to put up with this crap, and they, progressively Apple is in bigger and bigger fights with them. I will say, in a weird way, I'm kind of hoping that this stalemate continues and actually like is persistent, because I would kind of love to watch as Apple, like in a year or 2 years or whatever, is just saying, yeah, well, we can't come to an agreement with the EU, so tough luck, like it's just not going to be a thing over there. And then people in the EU, there will be some who are going to say, oh, well, that's what we want, bring it to us. And then there's going to be a whole bunch of people in the US who are going to be like, wait a second, so they get sideloading and they don't have to put up with the crappy Siri AI junk? Can we get that? We're just wait, because that will become part of this. There's going to be a whole lot of like, the grass is greener on the other side because it actually is greener on the other side.
Yeah. So you're telling me that my phone can install apps from outside the App Store and I don't have AI? This is great. It's sounding better all the time.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, is like, it doesn't shock me at all. The European Commission is like, no, do it over again. When Apple's been doing malicious compliance the entire time. Like they're
Yeah.
they're trying to state their position here as like, we're trying to have a respectful, meaningful exchange here. And then like the last 3 years has just been Apple like being dragged along kicking and screaming throughout this entire endeavor. And most notably, I think the biggest indication that like Apple is not playing fair here is there's still no third-party web browsers on iPhone using a custom engine. And Apple supposedly put in all of the APIs and was like legally required to make that happen. But it's still such a technical overhead and not worth it that there's still no browsers using that like you can download, as far as I know. I know like the Blink engine I think exists for iOS, but I don't think it's rolled out in any capacity. Like Chrome in Europe is still the same, WebKit wrapper. So like again, Apple has not been doing what the EU has been asking for several years now. So it should not be surprising that their pinky promise to roll out what the EU asked for at an indeterminate timeline didn't go over well.
Yeah. So, in a bit of a twist of fate, I think it is maybe worth mentioning in theory, Apple might not even be selling iPhones in the EU in the future if that going back briefly to that stopping children from seeing nude imagery, um, because I want to quickly go back and read something from that one. I know that, forgive the sidetrack, but I think it's worth noting. Um, in that bit, let me read this paragraph. Now's the time for tech companies to step up and work with government to solve this horrific issue. Again, children having anything to do with nudity. If companies do not act within 3 months, note 3 months is the timeline they're giving, which, wow. The government will bring forward legislation to force them to activate the technology. Okay, what technology? Again, I don't know about that. And then reads, this will include fines for companies, but nothing is off the table, and as a last resort, we are exploring criminal liability for tech bosses who fail to comply. Anyone think that, well, it would have been Tim Cook, but now John Turnus will be taking over. Anyone think John Turnus is willing to go to prison if he goes to the UK and gets, like, do you think he wants to risk getting arrested or anything like that? No. They'll just stop selling iPhones and Macs to the UK. Like, that's it. They'll just tell them, tough luck. We don't need to sell products to you. We're the richest company in the freaking world. F off. Like, we don't care about you. That is what will happen if they try to go after the billionaires. I'm sorry. It's just reality. And, you know, going back to, of course, this bit about Siri in the EU, yeah, of course Apple is going to look at them and say, well, we just won't bring you this feature. We don't have to do what you say just because you're a legislative body. We can do what the hell we want, and if you don't like it, we'll just take away the toy. Apple is in the power position here. So the EU doesn't really have much they can do about it. So yeah, just these two things are different, but they're also very obviously connected. So who knows? Maybe Apple just stopped selling iPhones there for a while. Watch how quickly the people in the EU are like, oh, F this. No, we'll just vote out anyone who voted who voted for this or who's threatening Apple. And boom, there you go. That's what will happen because people want their things.
Well, it's only the UK is trying the stupid, we're going to arrest you if you don't invent the magic button that doesn't exist thing, I believe. And the UK is not in the EU anymore, so.
True enough. Sorry. Yeah, I did mix those up. You're right.
Yeah.
But regardless, the point remains, like, Apple can pick and choose where it's willing to sell their products or where they're willing to roll out features. And yeah,
I don't know. I think it's interesting that there's not yet been a single thing that ever pushed Apple to leave a market. Like down to Apple in China just kind of giving the government all of the decryption keys for users there because that it was either that or don't sell iPhones. And so they wanted to sell iPhones, and they've implemented every like dumb age verification thing that every government has asked for. And of course, like with all of the, they switched everything to USB-C because the EU made them. And they, in theory, implemented all of the software platform stuff that the EU mandated. Of course, the actual implementation was probably not what the EU had in mind, but I'm sure they're going to keep finding them, and rightfully so. So, again, we still have not hit this theoretical point of Apple just kind of throwing up its hands and being like, okay, well, we're not going to sell an iPhone here. And I'm not sure it will, just because of Apple being a, as in their status as a public company, just being beholden to shareholders, and shareholders want the iPhones to be sold in Europe because that's a lot of revenue. So I think they'll continue complaining about it, but they will do it. I think it would have to be something truly substantial for Apple to leave. The EU specifically, I really have trouble seeing any scenario where that happens. If it was like a country, like a single country where they don't sell a lot of products, maybe, but I can't think of any examples.
Yeah, I don't know.
EU is majority Android, according to Alyssa. Yeah, because they have they have the better budget Android phones that we don't get over here. Because like
that is
they can still buy Xiaomi and Oppo phones and whatever else. We can't.
Yeah. Not to say that we were doing that anyway, but yeah, still. Also, just in general, there's been less stuff like iMessage lock-in, and they obviously there's a lot of places in the EU where there just aren't Apple stores, and not having an Apple store kind of takes away a big advantage that Apple would have. So, yeah. Anyway, but as I pointed out, Android is, they're close to 60%, and Apple or iOS is close to 40%. Actually, a bit closer than that. That's still a large block. Like, even at 42%, that's a huge block of people who would probably be fairly pissed off at not getting all the features that are being advertised or would be available to people otherwise. Or just having their preferred phone taken away from them entirely.
Yep. So I don't think I had anything else that stood out to me from the Apple event. Just a general sense of dread at the AI stuff. I guess probably just the impression that like I will not hold off on updating this year at all, because it seems positive changes on the design front and AI features that I either can ignore or won't get at all. So win-win for me.
Okay, so then I will hit with a few of the last things that were left in my notes to cover. One, and this goes to kind of the developer side of things. They announced that developers enrolled in the App Store Small Business Program, with fewer than 2 million total first-time App Store downloads. Yes, this is getting a lot of footnotes on it, but they will be able to access the Apple Foundation models running in private cloud compute at no cost. That's kind of a big offer. But I mean, it comes with the obvious like caveat of once they start charging you, that's going to be a big bill. Like whatever your usage is, you're turning on the tap, like instantly you're probably going to be shoveling out like thousands of dollars every month. But that's kind of a lot. Like, I'm really surprised that they're offering basically no API usage cost. I'm sure there's still daily limits and all kinds of other factors that trigger here, but 2 million is a lot of is a high download count to go to. And I'm sure that that's like spread across all of your apps. You'd want to have multiple accounts if you're trying to beat that in some way, but that is a pretty big offer. So I don't want to say I'm impressed because I know why they're doing this. They're doing this for the same reason Google offers a whole bunch of here, use such and such thing free until you hit whatever threshold, and all of a sudden we start charging you. Well, yeah, the first time they charge you, your bill is now going to be like, oh, hey, I owe $800 this month. I didn't pay that, or I didn't have to pay that last month. Really, because I ticked over one threshold. Now I owe. That's what they're doing here. And it's not like I can blame them. They're technically offering something for free, and then you start paying when you use it enough. Good logical thing to do. But I can only imagine how quickly those costs suddenly become huge revenue streams for Apple. Let's see. They while Siri is going to be used in pretty much all of the stuff or all the features that Apple is offering, they were very adamant about app developers can use whatever models they want, wherever they want. They are actually doing, from the sound of it, they're doing pretty good in basically making it so it's really easy to use an API on I forget what their kit was called, but there's a pretty straightforward API for using the on-device model, for sending that to private cloud compute, or using whatever provider and models you want to. So they're actually, I'll give them a bit of credit on the developer end. They're doing quite a bit to make that at least more fluid, more straightforward, and making it easy to switch around however you like. So it's good. They did hype up like code assist stuff in Xcode, which fine. I was a bit less impressed. It didn't look like they were showing off that much. So there was that. Let's see. Okay, there's two things at the top of these notes I wanted to cover, but I'll get back to those in a second because I think you will actually care about those. Quickly skimming notes. They're doing, well, just to this is more of a mention, but the same thing that we saw Google doing, where you can basically ask Gemini to create widgets or whatever. Mm-hmm. Apple is doing something like that, but it's for shortcuts on iOS and Mac. And then in Safari, you can basically generate browser extensions by just asking for them. Though I think the browser extension thing is really limited. It sounds like it's more like basic page scraping, scanning kind of stuff, but not much in the way of like complicated tricks. And then the stuff with shortcuts, frankly, I don't want to diminish it too much, but it was kind of just like autocomplete for shortcuts. Like if you don't want to take the time to click around and make a shortcut, then it's just a little faster and easier to just tell the device what you want it to do, and it can be like, okay, yeah, I can kind of piece together a shortcut out of that. Which, useful, I guess. I don't know. Honestly, I can't use shortcuts. I've tried. I can never find anything I want to do with shortcuts other than like, I want it to take two files that I've selected in Finder and run them through a command line, like a terminal. That's it. Like, anything else I've ever come up with, I either can't do it, it's not something shortcuts is powerful enough to do, or it's just something so simple that I can just like two hotkeys and I do the same thing without using a shortcut at all. You've had more use out of shortcuts than I have, I know that.
I mean, a little bit. Again, mostly still just very basic stuff. Like I have, there's a The door to like my apartment's main building that has like the gym and washing stuff in it is like a remote controlled. You're supposed to have like the app on your phone that is also the same app that you use to open your remote door AC or whatever. I don't want the app on my phone, so I just have a shortcut that opens that in a pop-up web panel. Um, and then I have the shortcut that like lets me share links to Link Cleaner because Apple still does not support the Web Share Target API, and that's the thing I was looking for in the big WebKit blog post from this year. It was like, do I get my API this year? The answer is no, but there is like 100 CSS fixes in there. So
Hey, that's something. I
yeah.
I won't shoot that down.
So I have a lot of like little shortcuts, but nothing that's like changed my life or anything like that.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, let's see. They kept talking about how everything that runs in private cloud compute is is private, and even Apple can't access that data. And of course, they kept talking about on-device models being privacy first. Um, I can't help but wonder how much of this is like Apple saying, "Oh, we don't store your data," but the stuff that gets generated from your data, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I just can't help but wonder. Not accusing them of anything, just can't help but wonder. Um, let's see. Oh, well, okay, this one's kind of obvious, but I noticed a lot of the series stuff, very flashy animations, lots of over animated stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which
I think
could
that's
be
legally required for generative AI apps. You have to have gradients that like do flashes and things,
exactly. Yeah, it was a
like dangling keys over the person. Like, hey, look over here.
yep. It was very much the it here's how we keep people from noticing that it takes a while for stuff to load, or here's how we make it look like it was more difficult or more elaborate than just handing back a line of text or something. um I'm not mad about it. It just really kind of stood out to me that they went all in on the heavy animations and effects and stuff like that. um let's see. Developers. Okay, I already talked about that. Okay, so the last two notes that I made. One, while at the start of this we were kind of commenting on, hey, look at how they're limiting Apple Intelligence to just the very latest model of pretty much everything, with the exception of Macs going a little further back. Funny enough, they highlighted that they expanded OS updates, or rather, going to have OS updates on the iPhone going all the way back to the iPhone 11.
Mm-hmm.
So, not bad. I mean, that's
Potentially the first iOS update that improves performance on older devices.
yeah, because yeah, they said this in the context of the process scheduler
Yeah,
being ported all the way back to there, which,
yeah.
all right. I don't think that was a huge undertaking. I think they were probably sort of overstating how significant that is, but at the same time, hey, a commitment well in advance that they're going to support the iPhone 11 on iOS 28, or sorry, 27. Yeah, it'll be 27. Yeah, cheers. That's good. I don't see a problem with that at all. And finally, what do you think about Golden Gate? The name.
It's fine. I again, I don't really care for any of the names since it stopped being animals. Um, I would like it to go back to animals or something else equally whimsical. I would put Android's old candy-based names in that category for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, just doesn't have to be a big cat. It can be anything. If you want to have like a Mac OS raccoon, uh, you know, uh, there's a lot. There's a lot of animals in California. You can even like if that's your criteria, you can stick to that. Um, you know,
I want bird names.
there's a lot of birds. You could be doing Mac
Yeah.
OS Cardinal. That sounds cool.
macOS Cuckoo.
Mac OS Pigeon.
If for no other reason than I want to see all the people suddenly realize how cuckoo is actually spelled, because oh my god, suddenly the political craziness would go off the charts, and I would love every second of that.
Mac OS Emu would go hard. Let's be honest here. That'd be sick.
macOS Ostrich.
Yeah. Again, these are all better names than a lake. Come on, guys, get fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, not to say they haven't had some fun with it. There was, of course, High Sierra, which the drug jokes. Look, I have nothing against the drug jokes.
That's
Frankly,
a very basic. That's a very basic joke, and though.
Yeah.
It can get sillier.
The drug references and the crack marketing team. Look, I wrote an article. To be fair, I wrote that article sort of with a gun to my head, forcing me to write it. But thanks for that, a-hole, to the person who is responsible for that one. But yeah, to be fair, Apple has had a lot of fun with it, and they have made the presentations fairly fun. I think they might have gone a little over the top this year, doing a full animated sequence, like an acid trip, as the marketing team apparently went flying over or under and around the Golden Gate Bridge. But hey, they got in their like minute-long bit dedicated to that.
Austin, I noticed and appreciated the Game Changers reference. Thank you for that.
I've been out, and so I haven't been able to watch any of the Game Changers for a while.
That was an older episode. Okay. There was an episode where,
to be fair, I'm also not caught up on those. But
yeah, there was an episode where the rule of the game was that Brennan was not allowed to win, and so there was a round where Sam kept putting up pictures of birds and was like, name the bird, and for everyone else it was like a common bird, and then for Brennan it was like roseate spoonbill and other like very specific birds, and it was funny.
Nice. So yeah, as it goes, I don't mind Golden Gate. I appreciate it at least a little bit more than names that in some cases were maybe a little harder to spell, or at least were awkward to remember, because there have been a couple of those. So hey, I think this will be an easier one to remember than a few of the others. Beyond that, yeah, I don't know. It's also kind of one of the more boring names.
Yeah.
And I agree. I want to go back to animals.
Go back to animals. Or like, Apple used to be very into like more so around like leopard and those versions. They had a space theme going on. I think if you wanted to go in all in that, have some space names, that would be cool. Some names of galaxies or planets or something. macOS Nebula, I don't know. You could do a lot with a lot of these. The names need to be cooler or sillier. Those are your options.
I think you can even if you thread the needle right, I think you can even just go with friendlier.
Yeah.
Um, again, bird names. So, somehow bird names just sounds like the right answer to me.
There's a lot of birds.
There's so
They
many
they, they
birds.
they would not run out of those for a long time. And I don't even think they ran out of big cat names. I think there's a lot more of those.
Um, so
Maybe they'd
somebody,
have to go into the ones that are extinct.
yeah. Uh, there was.
Introducing macOS saber-toothed tiger.
Did they
Wow,
ever do jaguar?
they did do jaguar.
Okay,
I think that
that was like what, the second
without
one or something?
googling it, I'm gonna guess 10.2. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
I was
look
gonna
it up.
say I think it's like first or second. Um.
10.2. Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. So the ones they used were
In
I gotta
order.
go to release history. In order. The developer preview was Rhapsody, server 1.0 Hera, public beta Kodiak, 10.0 was Cheetah, and then Puma, Jaguar, Panther, Tiger, Leopard, Snow Leopard, Lion, Mountain Lion, and then that was it. They switched to California things. So it was Mavericks, Yosemite, El Capitan, Sierra, High Sierra, Mojave, Catalina, Big Sur, Monterey, Ventura, Sonoma, Sequoia, and Tahoe.
Um. Let's see. They never did. They never did Bobcat.
Mm-hmm.
Um. They never did Cougar.
Mm.
Yeah, they could have. They could have fit a couple more in here. They never did. Oh no, they did do that one.
They
I'm.
never did Garfield, the
Oh,
biggest cat of them all.
yes, but I will grant to the.
They never did Lynx.
Interesting.
macOS Lynx would be good. That'd be cool.
Though that
Although a
would.
bobcat is a type of lynx, so there might.
Yeah.
That's fine. We can work on that.
And they do run the risk of people mocking it for the fact that there used to be a piece of software actually called Lynx, which
That is still around. I found out that's still getting
yeah,
updated.
I know it is.
It will never die.
It should. It has to someday. Like there's so much it can't do now. But yeah, I would like to see them have a little more fun with that. But as a lot of people did point out very rightfully, once they did Lion, like you've done the king of cats. Like that is inherently the reputation. You can't realistically have something that comes after Lion, except they of course end up having something that comes after Lion, Mountain Lion, which is a less impressive cat. So yeah, I don't know that they feels like they cheated a little bit with that one, but okay.
Again, they can go to birds.
Yeah.
There's many other animals. Could do, I don't know, aquatic animals. There's a lot of those. Space, just go all in on the space. That's an option too. Space is a lot of cool names. So.
Yeah, that is fair. Mountain Lion is Cougar, but Cougar would have been the better name.
They did. I don't think they're afraid of doing repeat animals because they had leopard and snow leopard.
Those aren't the same.
Well, I know, but like in the same terminology.
Right, but yeah. Anyway.
Right, different animals, similar name. Yeah.
Which yeah, if they did birds, there would be a lot of those. As long as they don't do something like insects, that would look. macOS Caterpillar sounds really amazing. macOS Centipede, love it less.
macOS Roach.
macOS Cockroach. macOS Koala.
macOS Black Widow. macOS Koala would be good.
I love that.
That's a very. You were saying you need to be like friendlier name. That's the most friend. people on the Epstein
No,
list.
no. macOS
Oh
Capybara.
no. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'd install that.
Yeah, you can't beat the Capybara. That is your winning macOS version.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
And then you also, I mean, with all these, you also then have your default wallpaper ready to go. It's just
oh
you
yeah.
know, send someone out on an expedition to take a really nice picture of said animal.
Oh, I'm now picturing not only the crack marketing team, but the expert photography team. They can
Hmm.
they could have all of Apple's like specialist teams go out on missions for
Yeah.
every major release.
I mean,
This could become its own spin-off TV show.
yeah, there's not much left of Nat Geo, but Apple could buy what's left of it and just get them to do this.
Oh, I kind of love this.
Yeah, that'd be good.
We have clearly surpassed Apple's crack marketing team in ideas here. They should come
Hmm.
to us to tell them what to do next.
Yep. This is welcome to the Corbin Consultancy Group. I'm going to tell you, name your operating system Koala, and that will be $20,000, please. Here's my routing information. Here's my PayPal.
Yes, exactly. I mean, really couldn't do worse than some of the stuff they've done in the past. So I'm liking this idea. I think we should run with it. And if they won't do it, we shall buy Apple and make them.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
If I stop buying avocado toast, I think I can save up enough to do that.
Yep. That is the hack. Okay, so I think we've pretty much exhausted this event.
Yeah, and it is super late for me, and I need to go now because I
Yeah.
still have some work.
So I will let you go. I was gonna bring up two things, but I think I'll just save them to talk about next week. Especially since one of them I actually have more to talk about next week. So, yeah. All right. So going to call that a wrap. Also, I just have to give credit to Austin for macOS people on the Epstein list.
Mm-hmm.
I would be very amused seeing that. I can only imagine how horribly that would go for Apple under the current administration.
You will not, again, if the issue is running out of names, I don't think you have to worry about that one either.
Yeah, that one would last a very long time.
Unfortunately.
macOS Harvey Weinstein.
Don't like that. I will not be installing that.
I mean, if they did macOS Donald Trump, that actually would... I bet they would never pay tariffs again for the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, game stream updates. I'll be streaming this weekend. I don't know yet if it'll be morning or evening because I haven't checked the weather, and it is apt to change anyway. So, yeah, I'll get back to you on that. And it'll be Overwatch because of competitive drives. That damn company thinks that's a good idea, and therefore I can't resist doing it. So anyway, yeah, so that is a good wrap-up point. Thanks everyone for coming by, hanging out, and being part of the stream, being part of the chat, and all that good stuff. Let's see. As I just mentioned, I'll be back this weekend with some Overwatch for 2 days for sure. And I'll be back next week with another RambleCast. There should be no changes to that schedule that I can think of. And yeah, that about covers it. So, as usual, if you'd like to support the channel, there are links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. And of course, huge thanks to supporters of the channel, David, Diablo, Alyssa, Austin, and Carson. Y'all are awesome human beings. And I think that is about it. So, hope everyone has an excellent rest of their week. And good night, everybody.
Bye.